Alright, hey guys, so I just finished watching UFC 229 and here are some of my thoughts on it. I just feel like sharing this with you. So I've been a huge Conor McGregor fan ever since the Aldo fight and so for the past few years, but you know, what I liked about Conor was not necessarily his wins or that he was winning. Or his ego, like I just like that he enjoyed what he was doing. You could just see it on him that that child in him, even sometimes he was like joking and stuff, but in the octagon he was like super calm and like very well composed, and you could just like see that he loved what he was doing, you know. Many people they watch sports for you can watch sports for like egoistical reason that you're like feel identified with your team, it's your team, and then when they won you're just like, yeah, we won, we won, even if you just did nothing. But it's like that's one type of watching sports in television, and the other part of that is when you see someone who's like genuinely in the present moment and they love what they do. Okay, so they just like love what they're doing, man, and they're just so into it and they love it with all their being. It's just like you watch it and something from that like transfers onto you, that aliveness, like, yeah, I'm alive, and you can just see that sparkle in their eyes that they're just so happy doing what they're doing. And I saw that on Conor, and that's why I like him. But there's another track to that, and that is his ego. And I saw it being built up and built up and built up and built up by small pieces until tonight, where he built it up to the very top and he just had to jump off. He had to fall from his own ego, from this whole persona that he built around himself. And for the longest time I thought that it's just this, media persona to sell pay-per-view, to just like sell his fights, promote his businesses. But I truly feel like he really got attached to that, it's like to this self-image. You can even see it when he's in the ring. He like likes to like look on himself, like in the camera, you can notice that a lot on him, and not that many fighters do that, and it's just like that ego that really like sort of got the best out of him, I feel. When I was growing up, my uncle did a Shaolin Kung Fu, so he was like a big influence on me. I was like looking up to all these like Shaolin monks and Zen masters ever since I was a young kid. And one thing that I always loved about traditional martial arts as opposed to like MMA, which I fell in love with later on in my life, but it is the spirituality, is the depth, the other part of the coin, in which it's not just the skill part of the coin, but it's also, there's like a greater depth to it. There's also the depth of deep inner peace and sort of like wisdom, but not articulate wisdom, not logical kind of wisdom, but more than that, just like this deep inner peace that accompanies you, and that is just like this acceptance, this deep inner acceptance. That's what being a real master for me is all about. Not about your skill level. Any tuck on the street can have a great skill level in martial arts. They can just beat pretty much anybody, even if they're totally trapped in their egos with zero spiritual dimensions. But that's not the mastery for me. The true martial arts master, it doesn't matter if you have 10 black belts from whatever, even if it's traditional martial arts. It's the same as with yoga. If you can call yourself a yogi, you can be a yoga master, but it's more than that, it's deeper than that. It's not just a label, it's not just a skill that you can do this move or that move, or tornado kicks. It's a greater depth. and that greater depth, I felt Khabib showed it a bit, you know, and that's why I think he won. But it's not about winning here, you know. It's not just about winning. I feel truly, I feel that Conor, and we all probably can agree on the fact that I hear a lot of people saying like he didn't show what's inside of him. He didn't show everything. Well, if you take in hand the reasons for that, he was nervous. You know, he clearly was super nervous. Even going to the fight, you could see it on him that he wasn't enjoying himself in there. He was not right here, right now, in an enjoyable way. He wanted to be somewhere else. And you could see like, oh, all Khabib's opponents want to be somewhere else when he's mauling them. But even when Conor was stepping in, even during that, you could see it on him, you know, on his facial expression, everything. He just didn't want to be there. He would much rather be somewhere else, you know. So he wasn't enjoying himself, and it transferred to his performance as well, because I truly feel like his ego got the best of him, you know. He built this big self-image and it got unsustainable. And ego is not just that you're like feel better than others, but also that you're constantly afraid. You constantly feel threatened by others because they can be better than you. So he wasn't going in there in that state of mushin, as old samurais called it, which is a state of no mind, in which you're just right here, right now, immersed in what you're doing. Modern psychology calls it flow, or being in the zone, or being in a state, you know, whatever field of sport you do it, everywhere they call it differently, but people, you know, Native Americans, Japanese people, you know, ancient China people, all, you know, in Europe, all throughout, across, you know, Middle East, they all knew it. They all knew these states. Everyone formulates it differently. Everyone puts a different label, a different word to it, but it doesn't matter how you call it. We all knew it. We all felt it at least once in our lifetime, at least this little bit. It's like something cracks open and the line shines through. It's this state where you don't think, the state of no mind, where you're just where you are, you're just there. And there's a deeper depth to it. It's just this like peace and you know, and it's only when you're not thinking, when you're not agitated by your thoughts, when you're not in your head, you're here, you're not thinking, you're not in your head thinking, oh, if he's better than me, oh, I may look real bad if I, you know, and it puts so much unnecessary pressure on you. And I feel that's what happened to Conor. You know, he lost this depth, this greater depth that truly made him great. Not his threshold, not his psychological warfare. This is what truly made him great. The only thing that psychological warfare did was that... I'm sorry, I gotta close my window. My dog is going crazy out there. The only thing that the psychological warfare did for him was that it created that he made the others have bigger egos than them. Because as I said, it's not just about, oh, I'm the best, I'm better than everybody else, I'm better than you. No, it's also about, man, I want to kill this guy, you know. Whenever things get personal, you know that ego stepped in when things get personal. Because you are no more this like, you lost this greater depth, you lost the connection to it, to this greater peace, to this greater depth, and you become the person. You know, it's like you're so much more. It's like this higher self that you have, that you access in those moments where you're truly in the moment. You're doing martial arts, whatever sport you do, but you lost connection to it, and you just become the person. The person who's like, oh, you know, I wish I can be the best. No one can be better than me. The person is your weakest. Is your smallest link in this whole chain, and we all, I believe, can. Agree on the fact that there's something more. In some moments you just feel like this, you have this higher self, and then you have this petty little me self, which is always complaining, and this is not good, this should be different, I hate that person, I hate this situation should change. And so I feel like whenever fighters say that it gets personal, this gets to them, you know, this is like, and I feel Conor became this small person for this fight, you know. So before he could like psychological warfare, he could get others into, oh, this is personal, I will kill this guy, you know. So others became egoical versions of themselves, you know. They shrink, and then, you know, like they became nervous and like agitated, and like their thoughts distracted them. This happened in Conor now, but it's really sad for me, and I feel sad for Conor, and I just really feel so sad for him, man. It's like, because, but not because, you know, he lost, but I hope for him, I believe this can open up something even greater, and something that couldn't be gained, something much greater than any belt or anything like that can ever give you. Something so great that, you know, only loss can do it. A lot of times, only loss can give it to you. And another thing I want to speak about is Khabib's reaction at the end of the fight, which was, you know, he was super humble. I really liked him. I really, I had this point when I felt like I lost all respect for Conor. Like, I stopped being his fanboy when, during the fight, I still could saw the ego in him, you know, where I could still see him like look into the camera like this, you know, and like, but maybe he didn't, you know, I mean, I don't know, but in the end of the fight, I felt like Khabib beat him, but he still felt that this anger that he got from the build-up of the fight, that got, you know, that like got built up in him, wasn't released, wasn't let go of, and so he didn't feel this deep inner peace that he might have thought he will feel once he can beat Conor. You know, he didn't feel happy after this fight. You know, normally like when he beat like a lot of guys, he just was like super thankful, graceful, and you know, but not after this fight. He didn't feel any relief, and you know, I feel like the ego took over him as well, where he just, you know, this anger. He just needed more of it, because what it does, it's like any entity in the universe wants to survive and reproduce. Anything that's alive, any form of energy needs to survive and reproduce. The same goes for your anger. For what that is a form of energy. Now that energy wants to survive and reproduce. And if, you know, it was built up in him, it was suppressed, it was like, oh no, I don't want to, I cannot be angry. His coach told him, don't be angry, otherwise he won. As soon as I can't be angry, it got suppressed, and then didn't get relieved through the act of beating Conor itself, because, you know, so in the end he got into his head a bit, you know, because it's like he beat him, and he didn't feel this relief, this peace, because you cannot feel this peace through, you know, he couldn't, you know, it was blocked to him, and this anger wanted all of a sudden, you know, it survived, and now it wants to reproduce. So how to reproduce, how to do it? Well, you gotta make other people's angry, you gotta burst out into anger, and he burst out into anger to let this relief, to let this go, because, you know, he hoped this will bring him the inner peace. This is my interpretation. I think it was like this. I saw him, like, he started talking to Conor, and this, like, anger has to get out, you know, because, like, it didn't get relief through the fight, and now it triggered other people who were in there, and their suppressed anger, you know, their anger that slept in them, you know, throughout all the fight, and like, no, let's not be angry, and then boom, you know, and this is what, like, I'm sad for this, man. I'm like, I think this does a really bad name to UFC, but, you know, as I said, it's like, I hope this greater depth opens for everyone, you know. In religious terms, you could say that the devil has won today, you know. First, you know, with Conor in the build-up of the fight, and now then in the end with Khabib in this, like, little moment, which I'm really sad for Khabib, because, like, he's so humble, and, like, I mean, I really, man, it was so hard for me to even, like, you know what I mean, like, watch the press-ups and, like, conferences, all of that, because I was like, dude, this guy is, like, real likable, you know, and Conor was, like, the bully in that, and I just didn't like, you know, it was just like, man, this guy is really likable. So I was like, you know, it's like you feel like you like someone who you feel like you shouldn't like, but Khabib is amazing. Khabib is great, and yeah, I mean, this is pretty much it. I hope you guys like this video. I just pray that no riots happen in Vegas, no people get harmed, and that, you know, it really opens up something for Conor and for Khabib, and please, I will be so grateful for this. I so pray for this, because I'm afraid that if Conor would like to fight this to like, oh no, you know, through like this, he's like tough guy, you know, like, no adversity can beat me mask, you know, it's just like, no, you know what I mean, I'll come back stronger, and it is what it is, you know, it's a, you know, that's humbleness, but it not, I feel like, you know, it's still like coming from this egoic state where you like, oh, I'll be back, and I sincerely hope Conor retires. I sincerely hope he retires and he finds a deep inner peace within, and or joy in his craft and what he does again, or in his family, whatever. But like, I hope this dimensions opens up in him, and that he doesn't either fight it or escape it through drugs and other outlets, you know, alcohol, with like, it just, that's the greatest enemy to any alchemist. So, and it was pretty much it. Sad fight. It was sad, yeah. And I hope Khabib, I think he has that deep inner peace of those masters and stuff, but I think it will definitely move him spiritually as well. That would happen in the end. You know, I'm great for the fight that it happened. I'm great for it. I'm great it happened the way it did. And I hope it will open up something even in people who watched it, you know, because you could like see the human madness in it, the craziness of human mind, and it's like in what it does. And just compare that fight with Tony Ferguson and Anthony Pettis, which was a fight that happened before that, and it's just like, you know, showed respect, and it was much more peaceful. And then reflect on how you felt after each fight. And it's up to you, you know, it's up to you. Do you want drama or do you want peace? The choice is yours. Peace.